Hello there, welcome to another talk. And this talk is called Life is a Lonely Existence for Everyone, and it's not just those that appear to be alone. This is this relates to my spiritual awakening because in that awakening that I had just under 10 years ago, and I get new spiritual awakenings every other day, but basically when I was going through that awakening, and still now, but it was all about embracing your own company. You know, because it doesn't matter if you're alone or if you're with someone, you're going to face a lonely existence no matter which way you go. It's just that some people lie to themselves and lie to others. And it's all about image rather than making themselves happy. So they'll continue to be with anyone with a pulse, but they're feeling very alone and very unhappy, and they'll take pictures of themselves together. They'll try and convince the whole world that they're madly in love with someone. There's nothing like that at all. If the world was like that, then if as much people were like that appear to be like that on, say, Facebook, the world wouldn't be the way it is now. It wouldn't be. You know what I mean? Because people would be too concentrated on that rather than being narcissists or psychopaths. There wouldn't be any terrorism. There wouldn't be any crazy government leaders because they'd be too in love and happy to do that. But this is what it is. It's a reality full of fakes, but it's not until... See, I was alone. When I was a kid growing up, my mum would do psychic events and I'd be long time. I'd be in hotel room by myself. When I was in school, I was the loner. Always alone. And so the awakening was about embracing that. Starting to say, right, okay, what has myself got to teach me? And that is when the awakening does happen. Then what starts to happen is your higher self starts to come through. The reason it can't come through for a lot of people is because it only comes through the higher self when you're authentic. Right? Because the authentic side of you is the higher self. And a lot of people aren't authentic. Like I said earlier, they go from one relationship to the next because they're not being real with themselves. It's not your soulmate you must find, but it's your soul. Like I had a woman a few weeks ago contacting me on my website on about twin flames. Look, I'm sure there's relationships like that exist. I mean, I've got a page on it, but it's not going to work for you if you've got problems, because the negative way that this woman was reacting to this so-called lover was way out of control. You see? So it's it's all about being real with yourself. Awakening can't happen until you're authentic. Until you start to face yourself. And so it's all about using that lonely existence as a teacher, a tool, a teacher. And so one of the things I like to do is just sit in silence with no music on just now, but just sitting in silence, and I can do this for hours. And I'm letting whatever's in my mind to manifest itself, so I kind of have an idea of what's going on within me. But a lot of people can't stand being alone for like 5 seconds. You know, they've always got to be, twitching on something, looking on the internet, or, something, because they're trying to run away from themselves. But people in the spiritual community, there's this thing about spiritual awakening, and that's the thing, but you're not going to get it until you start to embrace yourself, and you do that by embracing this lonely existence which everyone has. Everyone's got it. It's just that I faced it. And now it's my greatest teacher. And that's what they call it the dark night of the soul. But you'll have a lot of dark nights of the soul as you're awakening further. And then the dark will actually be your teacher. And you won't be afraid of being alone anymore. You won't need to have people constantly there. So it means that there won't be insecurities there now. So if you do like someone in the future, there won't be insecurities holding you back, because that gets in the way. You see? But yeah, life is a lonely existence for everyone. It's just that people look at people who are alone, but they don't look at themselves and say, wait a minute, I feel lonely. Because you do. Like I said earlier, if as much people in the world, like on Facebook, were happy in love, like they appear to be on their pictures, the world wouldn't be in the state that it's in. It wouldn't be in the state that it's in. But these people aren't real. They'll take a picture of themselves, but they're not telling you, how they really feel. They're not even telling themselves how they really feel. You see, that's just it. That most people aren't authentic, like I said earlier. But awakening happens when you be honest with yourself, and you embrace yourself, and you embrace your lonely existence. Then you'll start going through the dark night of the soul. You'll start realizing who you truly are. You'll start to tap into your higher self. You'll start to get insight, knowing, intuition about things. It's all coming from the higher self. So it's not about running from being alone, but it's about embracing that loneliness. Because like I said earlier, that's where God is. That's where your higher self is. And then you'll go on a healing journey once you start to embrace that. And then all the insecurities that's making you run away from being alone won't be there anymore. So then you won't be looking for a relationship just to be away from being alone. And if people did this, then the relationships would be a lot more successful. You see? But most people are running around with different people when they're not ready. You see? And then the kids suffer as a result, and it's these people I'm talking about that are having all the children. And obviously, if you care about children, you wouldn't have children in this kind of reality, because look at it. It's just not a very nice place, is it? But it would be a lot nicer, it will be, if as more people start to awaken and embrace that lonely existence which they all have, and just face up to the truth that you live a lonely existence. That it's not love that you're in. It's not love. You're just a liar trying to convince others that you're happy. But why do you feel the need to do this? Why do you feel the need? If you're happy, you don't. Why do you need to tell everyone else? They don't really care. What I've found from this path regarding happiness, it's an internal thing. It's a private thing. But the reason these people do that is because they're very insecure. So they're not really happy. Try to convince others in order to convince themselves that they're happy when really they're not happy. So instead of that fake existence, embrace the lonely existence which you have. And you'll start to realise things about you. And like I said, that's when you'll start going through your own spiritual awakening process. And that will lead to real happiness. And all the insecurities will heal and diminish and just fade away to nothing. And that's the path you should take. It's not the easiest path, but it's the path that leads to healing and ascension and growth and abundance and ultimately happiness. And I'm just going to leave it there. For latest updates, talks, news, research and much more, please do visit my website at www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you.